Hey, happy Saturday, people. Beautiful people. It is April the 16th, and I am excited to be back with you all again for another episode. I took a couple of weeks off because after our last interview with Dr. Turner, where we talked about the counseling of African American women, which was hopefully you got an opportunity to check out that episode because it was an incredibly insightful episode about working with our sisters, working with our mothers, working with our grandmothers, as those of us who work in this field and outside of the field to be recognized the experience and lived experience and how to engage our African American women, our daughters, our girls, who kind of carry a lot of weight. So in carrying a lot of weight, both in a literal sense and a figurative sense, I decided that today's episode was actually talking about kind of like weight loss. A lot of times I get so many patients, I can't tell you, who are like, Doc, I really want to make a change. I don't know where I want to start. And we start kind of picking apart what the deficits are. And as a nurse, it's so incredibly important to have great physical health and, as a psychologist, mental health. In the past, unfortunately, those have been siloed, where if you worked on one thing, you really didn't focus on the other thing. So it's one thing at a time. However, what we've been learning is you cannot have one without the other. So I have on today Coach Montel Hardin, who is a creator. He's a trainer. I see him out here. I see you out here doing incredible work. I love your content, and you work with a few people that I know personally. So I'm excited to have him on. I'm going to give him like a hand clap. So I think that's the hand clap one. I don't have on my, it's not the hand clap one. So I have the husband on today who's helping. So hopefully you will be less preoccupied in putting all of these things together and actually just focusing on kind of like my guest. Good morning, Auntie. I see she's wanted me to see that. She said good morning. So Coach Hardin, introduce yourself and talk to people about how you got started, why this is so important to you, and kind of like what you bring that's so different in the world of fitness.
Yeah, so my name is, hopefully you guys can hear me. My name is Montel Hardin, fitness coach. I have been in the health and fitness space going on, I think it's around 5 years now. It's got a, first off, basic job as a personal trainer that you see in, your run-of-the-mill gym. I was working out with people, training people, and then I started to realize that this barely scratches the surface of what I want to provide to people, how I want to help people. So I ended up stopping that, starting our own company about a year after that, and then from there, we really just focus on trying to help men and women. I work primarily with men, but my wife coaches the women in our program, and we kind of work together on that. But just helping men and women figure out how to be healthy, how to lose weight, how to build muscle, how to feel the way they want to feel, look the way they want to look, because those are things that we don't really talk about, especially like as Black people. Like I feel like specifically in our community, it's like you really shouldn't talk about not having confidence or not, really feeling good about yourself and, the way that you look. Because it's like, especially for men, we always got to be confident. Mm-hmm. We always have to be confident, even when we're really not.
Right.
So just really helping people bridge that gap through health and fitness. But also, so I'm so glad, you're a psychologist and we're having this conversation with people that need it mentally. That's the biggest piece of the puzzle when it comes to getting healthier, getting in shape, is like understanding why mentally you lean toward the foods you do, understanding why you struggle to work on yourself and things like that. And we bring all of that together into our program, along with obviously science-based nutrition and training methods and we get, people amazing results.
That's awesome. As you actually be sitting here, I'm looking at a book in my window called Treating Substance Abuse. And, I just think about the number of people who use substances to feel better and don't really recognize the unfortunate side effects. Like crack cocaine has an incredible side effect on people's heart. Crystal meth is a whole other story. Again, but people use these things not only just sometimes to feel better, but also even sometimes to actually look better. Which is a really kind of crazier thing. One of the things when we was talking, I talked to you about this book, and it's kind of dated. I don't know if we can go to kind of like my camera. It's called Exercising for Better Mental Health. And your way to better mental health, and it's a pretty dated book. Like, look, these women. Long gone. So these women are long gone. But, what we realize is there is an incredible benefit to, being mentally healthy and physically healthy. Everybody will tell you, I can't tell you anybody who will tell you that if they had both, that they didn't feel whole. As you work with folks, and as you've kind of like been going through this, because actually you're based in Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah, right.
But you work online, so you had work with people all over the world, basically.
Right.
And so you see different types of attitudes and different types of kind of priorities. Is there anything different about from one place to the next that you notice, or is it just kind of really all the same in terms of like the people that you work with and how they attack getting better?
Obviously everybody's gonna have, nuance, like this is the different type of foods that may work best for you and for your body, or this is the type of training style that you may need, based on your schedule, based on your lifestyle, based on how you like to work out. Because a lot of people shy away from things like working out because maybe they didn't like the methodology and the way that they did it last time. Mm-hmm. And there's so many different ways to move your body and be active and build muscle. So that changes, but I would say primarily, pretty much everybody that comes into our program, they want, one or two big things. They want to get their confidence back, and they want to be, healthier and around for kids, grandkids, things like that. Like that's always their two biggest mindsets and what they're trying to accomplish. So that's what I speak to. Like if you follow me on social media, that's my conversations always revolve around that, because it is extremely important to be confident in yourself, but to me, getting a great body is secondary to how you think about yourself, how you take care of yourself, because to me, how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're able to actually give time, attention, effort to yourself, to your physical well-being, your mental well-being, then that just kind of bleeds into every other area of your life, and you just perform at a higher level, and you're a better person to everybody when you feel good about yourself. So I think that's who we work with, people that kind of vibe with that mindset and that mentality. Mm-hmm. Everybody does it. Some people just want a big butt. Some people just want a six-pack.
Right.
I'm not the coach for that, because I'm going to help you dive so much deeper into what you truly want. So that's what we usually see as people that really want that like next level change.
Mm-hmm. One of the things you notice as you talk about that, I noticed your most recent like YouTube post where you go on a walk and it's not really just simply focused on kind of like the rudimentary kind of like do sit-ups, do push-ups. It's actually you're having a conversation with your followers about kind of like your own mental health and your own mental health journey, and utilizing walking as a tool for kind of like feeling better, not just from a physical health perspective, but also a mental health perspective. So I really thought that was a dope part of your channel that most people get caught up into, do the side obliques and do this without really addressing like their own mental health, or even being an example and modeling, how beneficial a walk can be for your mental health and your physical health. So I think that's great. What made you kind of go on that journey where you're transparent in that way with your followers?
Yeah, that's a crazy question, because that's something that's been so much of a transition for me. When I first started, I've been posting content now, like really trying to build an online presence for about 5 years. Basically, since after I got my training certification, I'm like, man, I'm off. I'm ready to go. So it's been about 5 years. And back then, all you had to do was post a workout. All you had to do was share a healthy meal. And like that was enough. But now people, I guess it's just, like the culture of like YouTube and Instagram and getting a deeper insight into people's lives. People want to know you on a more personal level, and they want to see if you really about what you talk about. Like, so I've started to transition into, instead of me giving you a tutorial on how to do ab workouts, or instead of me telling you how to eat food and things like that. Obviously, we're going to do that, but I also think that there's a need for people in the health and fitness space to show people how they live their life while doing these things. And that's where I kind of, I was like, well, you know what? Let me just talk about, how, the things I have going on in my life. Because a lot of people think fitness coach or personal trainer, or, whatever terminology you want to use, they think that you live to work out. Like, you don't have any other responsibility outside of working out, outside of, eating a healthy meal. And we were with friends today, and I know they were just, picking around, but like, oh, do you need gluten-free this, or do you need like this? Like, that's always the mindset and the mentality. Like, no, we live regular, or at least I do. We live regular lives. We, have problems. We got responsibilities. We got families, things like that. And we still have to juggle getting a workout in. You still got to juggle eating healthy food and not, going through the drive-through 3-4 days, 3-4 times a day for the next 3-4 months just because you were frustrated, or just because, things got a little off track. So I decided that I just wanted to, walk people through how I manage my health and fitness while doing things like that, while traveling to Atlanta to be on this podcast with you. Was making a YouTube video. I worked out the morning before we left to come here. I'm going to work out again once we leave today. Pick some healthy meals from around the area that, probably plenty of stuff close by right after we leave.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, I already know. So it's just like if you make it an integral part of your lifestyle, it becomes habitual. Like me taking that walk, I walk 2 or 3 times a day. I don't run at all. I do not like running, and I know a lot of people may feel the same as me in terms of not liking running. So like, you don't have to run, but like just constantly being active and walking and moving does so much for your mental health, your brain function, your mental cognition, your digestion improves while you're up and walking, and so many other things just from being active, and you just kind of take it from there.
I appreciate that. So I'm like, what I feel like, I won't generalize and say like a lot of black people. I feel like I am. That I'm representative of a lot of black folks, that I am connected, heavily connected to food. It's my grandmother was she would put fat back, throw lard in the skillet, and when I tell you that food was so good.
Oh, yeah.
And so I have this deep connection, not just from my own personal experience, like, in a kind of emotional way, but from a very cultural way. And that that can be difficult, and when you're trying to switch things up, when it is so like ingrained in you, embedded in your experience. How do you attack that with folks like me, is black folks who are like, I don't eat just because it releases serotonin and makes me feel better, but I also eat this way because it reminds me of a history and of an experience that makes me happy.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a huge question right there, and I think that's where. That's why, obviously, being, African American, being black, you work with, typically you lean towards working with primarily, other black people, just because the nature of being this, you look like me. So,
right, exactly.
Probably about 80 to 90% of our client base is black and deal with the same exact things, like having these over palatable, like highly tasty foods that are so like, You eat these foods and it's like nothing else quite tastes the same. It's like you're missing out on so much flavor trying to go the quote unquote healthy way. So a big part of that is, first off, helping people understand that food is not actually supposed to taste like that. That's the biggest thing. Like, food is not supposed to be that palatable. It's not supposed to be that like sensational when it comes to the overall flavors and the taste. Like that, if it tastes that good, it means it's too much salt or too much sugar in it. One or the other. And both of them are negatives. So it's like, okay, now that we know that, how can we get somewhere in between, grandma's food and the bland, boring, dry chicken breast and rice that nobody wants to eat? So just helping them understand how food works in terms of energy balance. At the end of the day, you gain or lose weight based on how much food you eat. So you need to have an understanding of how many calories are in certain foods. Like your go-to foods, you should know that an egg has about 70 calories. You should know that a cupcake has about 130. You should know that a 4-ounce chicken breast is about 120 calories, somewhere around that range. You don't have to be 100% exact, but you should be able to look at your plate and tell that this is a close to 500 calorie plate, 1,000 calorie plate. Understanding what exactly food means for your body's makeup. And then also understanding the different type of foods that you need as well in terms of proteins, carbs, fats, and then just building meals based around that. You just want a balanced plate of whole foods, and you can spice things up. You can have some pasta. You can have bread. You can have different things like that people think that they have to avoid when they start their journey. But you can have some variety. You can have tasty foods. I don't eat bland, boring foods at all. That's not me. So you can have a lot of variety. Like for our clients, we have like spicy, like the Chick-fil-A, we have like a high protein Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich recipe in there. We've got turkey tacos. We've got like mud cakes and all these different types of meals that we've come up with over the years to help people, kind of bridge the gap between getting away from these high calorie, low nutrient, highly palatable foods to getting something that's better for them, their body overall, but that still tastes good as well. So just kind of making those transitions. But learning what food is, to me, I think is the most important thing. That's my biggest mission, is helping people understand what food actually is outside of I'm hungry, I need to eat. So that's the biggest thing. Just
wow. Yeah, I appreciate that because it definitely, I never actually looked at it like, kind of like, it's so funny. I was watching Schitt's Creek the other day with my husband, and Moira, the wife, said she, the one of the producers or whatever, had bitten into the word she used, it came to life, like some word she made up. But I was like, that's how I feel about food, and that's how I always want to feel about food. So I struggle. I definitely struggle. I've gone from being able to not do Uber Eats and all the other stuff to just cooking at home. It's rare that we eat out now. But I'm not gonna lie, it's definitely tasty. Oh, yeah, for sure. It's definitely tasty. So kind of trying to figure that out is definitely like a balancing act. Yeah. Is there any like tips or whatever that you can think of? Like I own like 2 Ninja Foodies. Like I have an air fryer and a pressure cooker, blah blah blah. I'm trying to been utilizing that and cooking in that and stuff like that, and so I'm experiencing with that. What's the best way to cook that gives you the most nutrients and kind of like satisfies your palate? Like, what's the best way to cook? Is it on the stove? Is it in the oven? Grilling? What would you recommend?
My 3, like, I guess if I had to rank them, I would say air fryer is number 1. Air fryer is probably the best way to cook outside of like, maybe roasting something, maybe a little bit. That may be first, but a lot of people may not necessarily. That may be a little bit, too much. Right. But outside of that, I would say air fryer, and then oven, and then grilling. The air fryer to me is one of the world's greatest inventions when it comes to when it comes to cooking. It's crazy. I'm not a great cook by any means, but I'm able to throw some pretty good stuff in there myself, and it tastes good. It keeps the flavor in your food, especially if you're eating things like chicken and things like that can kind of lose the flavor and the juice a lot of the times, and that's what really makes us not want to eat it if you're like meal prepping and things like that. But you keep a lot of the juice in there while also keeping pretty much all of the nutrients. Baking would be second, obviously just in the oven or whatever. And then grilling would be third. Grilling does take a little bit of the nutrients out of the food, but I would choose that over frying something, putting it in, a bunch of canola or vegetable oil any day of the week. So that would be my top three, and just figuring out what foods you personally like and figuring out ways to cook them in that way will make a huge difference in itself. You probably don't even have to drastically change what you eat if you'll just decide to cook them that way instead of frying them, or maybe like, I think it's like maybe like sauteing or like oven frying them on the top of the stove or whatever, and just having all the grease in there. Like the grease is really the biggest thing. If you can get rid of the grease, the vegetable oil, canola oil, things like that, those seed oils that our body has zero use for, if you can get rid of those things and cook a different way, you'll probably naturally start to drop fat, even if you're eating the same things that
So I posted about this in one of my private Facebook groups. And so one of the followers I posted like, hey, if you had an opportunity to speak to a fitness coach and you wanted to address something that I, as your therapist, cannot address, what would it be? And one of the followers said, hey, Doc, when I work out and I eat great, I feel great, and it definitely improves my mental health. However, I get bored. And then he's like, that's when I find it the most difficult. How do you help your clients attack dealing with boredom from kind of like from your perspective?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I feel like most people, that's probably their thing. Like, because everybody can admit that they love how they feel eating good food and finishing out a workout. Everybody feels better afterward because you're supposed to. The endorphins that release in your system is like it makes you feel good. But the biggest thing is always having a purpose. A lot of times we don't necessarily have a purpose when we go work out or train or in what we're eating and things like that. You don't really have a purpose, meaning that you're just going in like, oh, well, let me work out today. Like, no, you should be trying to beat yourself. And that's why like we have a phrase in our programs, compete with yourself. Like we talk about that all the time. Like when you go into the gym, you should, have, your workout that you're going to do or whatever. And you should know you did that workout last week. You should know how much weight you used or how many reps you did or how many sets you did. And you should make it a goal and a priority to get one more or to add an extra 2 pounds, 5 pounds, little things like that. And just constantly, like I said, competing with yourself. Because I feel like us as adults, once you get out of sports and, whatever else, there's no competition anymore.
Right.
And we really get soft. We really get soft with ourselves when it comes to pushing our limits, seeing what we're capable of. And I feel like, you're building a business, building a podcast. So like you're competing with yourself every day. But a lot of people, they just, they work their job and they come home and they kind of lose that competitive edge. They lose those spaces of getting uncomfortable that you always grow from. So in workouts and in the foods that you eat, like we always try to push our clients to get out of their comfort zone. Do one more rep, lift another pound of weight, or try a meal or try a food that you've always thought was nasty. You know how we are. We'll call a food nasty. We ain't never ate it before.
Exactly.
We ate it a day in our lives, but we swear it's nasty.
Right.
So get out of your comfort zone and try these new things. Go to the restaurant that you've never been to before that offers healthier meals, and doing these things, just every time you get out of your comfort zone a little bit, it kind of renews your energy and it makes it much easier to kind of keep it going. So,
well, I'm glad that you bring up getting out of your comfort zone, because you definitely got out of your comfort zone. You talked about at the beginning of the show about you were a regular fitness trainer, blah, blah, blah. You were in the gym, and then you and your wife decided, hey, let's make this a business. You got out of your comfort zone by being an entrepreneur. I want to bring up like your website called www.hustlefittribe.com. What really inspired you and your wife, who's here in the studio? Let me give a hand clap to the Black entrepreneurs, the couple entrepreneurs, for taking the risk and like saying, hey, let's do this together. What made you all say, let's come up with a name, a brand, and get uncomfortable?
Yeah, so the biggest part was I started personal training, obviously on my own, and as I started to bring on more clients, and we kind of started to dabble in online, even as early as like 2017, like way before the pandemic. It is much more normal for people to have online coaches now, but back then, everybody thought that they just had to have somebody right there with them.
Exactly.
At all times. And I'm sure you know that.
Right.
But they thought they just had to have somebody there with them. But for the few clients we had, we had them online. And as I started to build up the clientele, my wife started to come in and help and take some clients off my hands, and she started to really love the process as well. And we just kind of did that kind of like on the side type deal while she was working at a bank and I was working, in the gym. But then we, both realized that we could make more impact and we could, really build something special if we were able to dedicate more time to it, more effort to it, and actually, do it together, because you got two people building one business. It makes it so much easier. You can scale so much faster in terms of building a business, but also in the value that you give to people. So in 2020, I think March of 2020, early March, it was literally a week before the world shut down. She quit her job, and then I stopped training in the gym full time, and then I went online full time to work with our clients online, and just wanting to give as much value as we possibly could, wanting to just really give people what we felt they truly needed, because everybody thinks they need the perfect workout, they think they need the perfect meal plan, but what people really need is accountability. They really need to know and learn why you want them to eat what they eat, why you want them to train how you want them to train, and you just can't do that in a 30-minute fitness session, because like I'm coming in, if you're good at what you do as a personal trainer, then you stay booked. You stay booked, and you have a 30-minute workout with this person. You walk them through the workout. You guys may talk about what their dog did, and they talk about they use it as a venting session too. Like I always say we got a little bit of therapist in
Of
ourselves.
course,
it's a venting session. So they do that, they talk about that, and then your next client comes in, and it's like, you don't really have any time to teach and pour into these people other than do this rep, or do it like this, or do it like that. So we just wanted to create an opportunity where we were able to teach people, Black people specifically, because we just don't have this information in our community on how to move your body, why it's important, how to eat the things that you need to eat, and the psychology behind why you eat how you currently eat, why you turn towards foods, like all these next level, concepts and mindsets that you have to break in order to start making significant and lifelong change. We wanted to create an environment that allowed them to do that, and that's the online space was the best method for that, and we've been going strong ever since.
Well, that's I really connect with like the title of your company, like Hustle Fit Tribe. As a person of color, and a therapist, I believe in the huge importance of community. What made you say, let's also take that into account as we build this brand, as we build this business, to add tribe in? I mean, I kind of get Hustle Fit, but then the tribe added on kind of like makes it a third level, kind of dimensional for me.
Exactly. Oh yeah, that's the thing with, like, when we first started, I was 21, 22. I'm 26 now, so it was you may still
you're a baby.
Yeah,
baby. I'm twice your age almost.
You're going to call me a baby as soon as I say how old I am. But, I was definitely a baby back then, and it's like I knew I wanted to make impact, and I knew I didn't want to work for anybody else because nobody else wanted to make the same amount of impact I did. I used to try to push our gym to do certain things, like we should do this, we should do that. It's like, oh, well, you can't have that many hours, or, well, we can't pay you for that. And it's like, well, I got to do something on my own then, because what y'all want me to do is only scratching the surface of what these people need. So when we first started, I just, basic Hardin Fitness, my last name and fitness, just like pretty much anybody does. And as we grew, we just tried to figure out, who we wanted to be, and like wanted a business name to reflect that. And it just landed on Hustle Fit. First off, I'll explain that part, coming from the fact that, for us, we feel like, everything is a grind. Everything is an uphill battle. There's nothing handed to you. Nothing comes easy. And you got to work for everything that you get. So Hustle Fit was kind of like the modicum of that particular, mindset. But then also the tribe was the biggest part, adding in, where we're like, you can't accomplish something like this alone. And I think that's what so many people try to do. Like, you cannot lose 100 pounds and stay consistent for a year and make it a lifestyle and never go back if you are the only person that you can depend on, or you're the only person that is involved in the journey. So that's been the biggest part of our community or our program is building that community where you see other men and women getting their workouts in. You see them tuning into live coaching. We have 3 to 5 live coachings every single week on certain concepts. And you see them tuning in, and they're learning. And these are people with kids. These are Dean, which you know is a very busy man. Like, he's on every single live coaching.
Right.
And he's also 100 pounds down. You know, we've been working together for about a year and 6-7 months, something like that. But he's on every single live coaching. He's learning. He's implementing the things that we're asking him to do. And he's one of the leaders in our tribe because he consistently shows up and he sets the tone for everybody else there. And I think it's a difference when you expect your fitness coach to work out. You expect them to eat healthy. So it's not as motivating when we do it, myself and my wife, when we're doing the things we need to do. It's not really that motivating. But when you have somebody come into the program that has previously had the same struggles as you, they want to lose 50 pounds just like you do. They've got a spouse and 3 kids just like you do, and they're working a full-time job just like you do, and a business on the side just like you do, and you see them hitting a 50-day streak on tracking their meals, or a 50-day streak on hitting 10,000 steps a day, and little things like that. It becomes like, man, how are they doing that? Like, and I have no excuse. Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, when they see other people in our community put in the work, like, I have no excuse but to get this done, and everybody just motivates each other. It's kind of like a snowball effect of the more people that hit their goals, the more people that get their workouts done, the more people that eat the right foods and ask questions, the more people do these things. And we just created a community where everybody comes in and they work, they grind, and they do it together, and everybody congratulates and uplifts and motivates each other. And I feel like that's probably been the biggest thing. I'm humble enough to say that there is nothing inherently special about me or my wife. Like, we're very knowledgeable, of course, but there's a plenty of knowledgeable broke people in the world, knowledgeable people that can't find a client to save their life because they just don't have that community, they don't have that compassion, they don't have that next level, mentality. But we were able to put that together with our community and our tribe, and that's what they keep everybody going, and they keep us going too. Sometimes we're not motivated, and our tribe may work, we'll wake up at 5, 6 a.m. and 3 or 4 people got their sweaty selfies in our group because they just got their workouts in. And it's like, man, let's go, let's do it. And we just created something that kind of runs on its own now. So it's huge.
Yeah, a major part of staying physically fit and staying on your goals is recognizing that there are other people who look like you. So it doesn't, like, on those rough days, knowing that there's somebody else just as equally as encumbered with life as you are, that kind of helps you push. And even sometimes I feel like a lot of times when people get on that wagon and then they fall off, there's this sense of kind of like failure. Like, as you work with people who go through those ups and downs of like failure, and like they say, I really had not just a bad day, I had a bad week. I was like, it was a hard week. I went to Popeyes, I went to Zaxby's, I got the extra kicking chicken sandwich and blah blah blah. How do you help them feel okay that it's not, to remove that kind of sense of failure and say, hey, this is just like a challenge, and that we all go through that, or kind of whatever you do in order to kind of help them be remotivated?
Yeah, for sure. So I think that we think in health and fitness, we want, or let's just say weight loss, because a lot of people don't realize what they're after is health and fitness. They think it's weight loss. So we'll talk in those terms. Weight loss, people want it to be linear so bad. If you're at 300 pounds, you want to weigh in and every day you lost a pound, or every day you lost a half a pound, or whatever the case may be, not realizing that there are so many different things that happen in your body, like especially if you're strength training, then you're gonna start to gain muscle before your fat starts to drop, before your metabolism starts to regulate. So you may be lifting weights and you're really making drastic changes, but you get on the scale the next week and you're up 1.5 pounds, And little things like that make people like, oh my God, I'm not doing this right, or I don't know if this is what I need to do, and they're just ready to get off of their journey because it's not linear. One big thing that we like, I guess an analogy that we try to make is, the things that are most important to you in your life, your spouse, your kids, like, is your relationship with them linear? Like, have you guys, your husband sitting right here, you guys are married now, but before you guys got married, I'm sure you had an argument or two. I'm sure you had a disagreement or two. You didn't just have, it wasn't just sunshine and rainbows all the way through.
Right.
And if it wasn't, the first argument you had, well, I don't think this is for me. I don't think this is going to work. And I feel like a lot of times that's what it is in health and fitness. Like, if you want anything special, if you want anything transformational to happen in your life, you have to be willing to go through the ups and downs of it. And you also have to be willing to understand that you will make mistakes throughout the course of the journey. And that the best thing that you can do is to just get back on track. Like, just get back right. Figure out what the solution is to get you, if you had a bad week of eating, or if you skipped the gym for 2.5 weeks, or whatever the case may be, figure out what you need to do to get you, if you're going down this road and this is the wrong road, how can you turn left or turn right and get back to the road that you need to get to? So that may be, if you've been through the drive-through for 5 straight days, now on Saturday morning, you cook breakfast at home. Like, just little things like that just slowly get you out of, okay, I got to stop getting fast food. Or if you haven't worked out in weeks and you're like, I'm kind of scared to go back to the gym, let me take a walk around my neighborhood. Like, little steps that will get you closer to where you want to get to, and just kind of build from there. But overall, it's just we're the sum of what we do the majority of the time, not every once in a while. So whether that be good or bad, if you do good stuff every once in a while, the majority of your journey is probably not going to go well. But if the majority of the time you're on point, the times that you may slip up are negligible in the grand scheme of things. That slice of cake or that fried chicken or whatever it is, if you're on point 70 to 80% of the time, the meals that you have, then it's not really going to make a huge difference. And I think that's the biggest thing people got to understand. 70 to 80% compliance will get you pretty much anybody about where they want to be.
Okay. That's that's refreshing to know and refreshing to hear, I'm sure, for a lot of people, because you damn, I take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. I just can't seem to get it right. I always tell patients, we are our toughest critic. We are like so hard on ourselves. We expect ourselves to be perfect at everything. And if we don't, again, I can't get this right. I can't work. I can't be focused enough to get this doc done. So it can be frustrated, as you kind of you grew up in the South, and have you seen in terms of prioritizing health among certain individuals, or you feel over the course of, you're young, so I'm old, and I grew up in a very small town which had absolutely no gym. I don't think Talladega, Alabama had a gym, to be honest with you. I think the closest one was probably in Anniston, maybe even further. As you kind of have seen in your life, because you're Gen Z, I think you're Gen Z, right? Or are you considered a millennial?
I don't even know. Are we millennials? I think we're.
Okay, I think. Okay, so you're a millennial. So you know a little bit about kind of the lived experience of folks at my age. Have you seen, especially, I actually was supposed to go in a different direction, because this is all the rage, the BBLs, and I've seen some BBLs going wrong. I have seen
We're in the capital of BBLs going wrong right now.
I have seen some BBLs going wrong. Girls who had who had complete body infections, and now have no butt, let alone the little bit that they have. And so that kind of puts you in this mindset, we want things quick. We want things now. How do you help people slow down life enough to recognize that it's worth the commitment versus going to go spend $7,000, $8,000 to go get that BBL, in Atlanta, and then, the risks that come along with it?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is, obviously that's just human nature. You want things a little bit faster, but I feel when it comes to things like weight loss and getting a body that you want, I feel like people definitely want to put a fast track on that, but I feel like that's largely due to a lack of knowledge on what it actually takes to get there. Because it seems like you see so many different, you should do keto, you should go vegan, you should train this way, you should work out that way. It's like there's so much information and people don't really know how to apply it to their lifestyle. So as a result, they want to look for what they know will work, which is typically the quote unquote shortcuts, whether it be BBLs or, gastric sleeves, things like that. But the issue with, I don't have an issue with anybody doing any of these things per se, mostly because, you're your own man or own woman. You do whatever you want to do. But the issue is they're done to escape implementing the habits you need to get to whatever goal whatever you're trying to accomplish with that BBL or with that gastric sleeve or whatever, liposuction, whatever it is, you're doing it most likely to escape the, first off, accountability for your habits, and then also building the new ones. But what I always tell people is, if you thought that eating healthy is hard now or working out is hard now, wait till you go get a BBL and you got to go to the gym 5-6 days a week now. Because you have to maintain the muscular structure around the rest of your body, your torso and your legs, especially to make sure that you don't look like whatever. Right. I can't even explain what some of these look like, but if you don't want to look like that, then you have to, like, those habits that you try so hard to get out of, you have to implement those anyway. And especially with, I speak, more to the gastric, sleeve, because most guys aren't getting BBL. So speak just kind of to what, they would kind of do.
It's growing.
Yes. It's
growing. It's growing, and men is like, I want a nice shape too. Like, it's becoming a very common thing. It's becoming more and more common among men.
Yeah, guys are definitely doing lipo a lot more, like to get rid of fat in the midsection. So it's definitely, it's a thing. People think it's just women, but it's guys as well, because guys lack that confidence too, and they want to make changes too, even though, like I said, we don't really admit it or, want to be open to it. It's not really, we haven't created a space in our community where you can really be open to that. But I would say that if you, like I said, the same thing with eating, which is, I think, people's biggest issue. I think eating is where people fall off the most, because it's what you do the most. You'll only work out once a day, maybe twice a day if you're just really ambitious, but you'll probably eat 3, 4, 5 times a day. You'll pass 100 restaurants on your way to and from work. So there's just so much temptation when it comes to eating. And if you think that it was hard now, wait until after you get your gastric sleeve or your bypass. Wait until you figure out how hard it is then. Like, now the list of things you can actually even consume may have been cut in half. Now you have to track you try to get out of tracking your meals and you thought that was too much, but now you got to do it 24/7. You got to do it 24/7. You got to check in with the doc, let them know what you're eating, like all of these different types of things that you try to escape by taking a shortcut. So that's, that's what I would say to people that are kind of thinking of taking those routes, is that the habits you're looking to avoid, you're gonna have to work even harder. Like you work with me right now. I'll help you figure out how to eat cake every other day. And I'll help you figure out how to train 3-4 days a week, and still get to where you want to be. You may not be able to just lay on a surgery table and get off a few hours later and be there, but I guarantee you that you will enjoy the process drastically more if you'll decide to dial in the success habits over just taking a shortcut.
Right. You're so right. I mean, I've seen the post-op list that patients will go home with after a BBL or after like a tuck or after a lipo. And I'd be like, well, hell, you got to do all the work now. I mean, so yeah, you can get it, but you got to, and then when they don't do it and they're like, I wasted all of this money. I wasted $10,000 and, I'm back to square one, so you make a very good point about that. We are almost at our 45-minute mark for the show. So I want to spend the rest of the time talking with people about how they can get in touch with you. Also bringing up like your website URL. We can bring that up. So how can people get in touch with you, and what do you like? Have any kind of specialty that you want to make mention of?
Yeah, so I am basically everywhere. I think everywhere but Twitter, I believe. But TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Facebook and LinkedIn are kind of like my specialties. Like I really communicate a lot on there. So Montel Hardin on either one of those platforms. Instagram coach.montel, TikTok coach.montel, and you just shoot me a message. I talk to guys all day, every day. Literally just have conversation, because my biggest thing is I just want people to know that, there's somebody out there that actually cares about what they want to accomplish, that cares about helping them be a little bit better and getting to where they want to be. So I'm always just in my DMs having conversations with guys. I'll have guys that, tell me like, man, I've been trying to stay on track. They'll see a video of mine, something I posted. I've been trying to stay on track, but I've been struggling. I've had this going on and that going on. And we have a conversation about, what it's going to take to get you where you need to be. So if you know that you've been struggling in that area, or you've been struggling to find the motivation, or if you just you're spinning your wheels and you don't know what to do and you're just not making the progress that you want to make, but you know that you want to make drastic change, that you want to get healthier for your family, for yourself, want to get your confidence back, things like that. That's what I'm all about. And every piece of content that I put out will be either geared directly towards that, or will be a screenshot or a snapshot into my personal life, and how I kind of, try to exemplify all of those things as well. So like I said, if that vibes with you, then I look forward to connecting with you, having a conversation with you, and ultimately seeing if we can help.
So you go live every week on your YouTube channel. I think I see you doing your Instagram channel, live on Instagram, live on LinkedIn, pretty much once, twice a week. How often can people check you out on any of these platforms? And is it any scheduled time or anything like that?
Yeah, so at the time of watching this video, it may change. If you're watching this video 6 months from now, it may change.
Right.
At this time, 12 p.m. Central Time on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, I go live on all those platforms, but also record my Fit for Real podcast, where we talk fit for real. Just kind of break that down real quick. Just comes from, I feel like there's so much misinformation out there about what it actually takes to get healthy. I feel like so many people don't have a real understanding of what it requires, and some people may get to their destination, but they didn't get there the right way. You get what I'm saying? So my mission is to help people, guys specifically is what's going to be the biggest topic of conversation, but women can also get a lot of value out of it, is just helping you figure out how to be fit, how to be healthy for real, actually utilize things that will change your life forever, and not just lose you a quick 50 pounds. Because I think we all know somebody that has lost 50 pounds every year of their life. They lose
right,
50 pounds
exactly,
every single
year.
Because they're not doing it the sustainable way. They're starving themselves, or green juice diets, or little, things like that don't sustain you. So
Beyonce, the cayenne pepper. I'm dating myself. You don't know nothing about that. The Beyonce diet with the cayenne pepper and the lemon juice and the blah blah blah. Oh, okay.
Stuff like that. There's stuff like that going on now. So but it always is, and that's what my podcast is about. It's just helping you realize how to do things the right way, and I don't have any bias. There's a lot of people oh, you should do this or you should do that because I do it. No, I do what the science says. The science changes, as you know. I'm sure you have a lot of science that you deal with at your job, and as the science changes, my opinions change, and what we really preach in terms of what it requires to get to your goals changes. But we back everything in the science, but I help you figure out how to get it done in a practical way, and we talk about those concepts on my podcast. So.
Okay. All right, sir. Well, thank you so much for dropping by the studio. Thank your wife also for stopping by with you. We really appreciate having you guys here. Hopefully we can have you on again in the future. I think that that it's an incredibly important topic, overdue topic about blending mental health and physical health in a way that makes sense for the folks who look like us, to be quite honest with you. I am on my way, constantly on a weight loss journey. Whether it works or whether it don't work, I figure it out as I go along. So thank you guys. I'll see you all hopefully next Saturday. I will be live again, and have an amazing week.
Talk to y'all soon.